Hello, and welcome to Under 10 Minutes. Today, I will be discussing running, hunting, and dodging as a monster. I have 2 games played on a single map, Wraith Trap. For the first map, here is roughly the route I take before being domed. Note my avoidance of the major choke points. Each of those bulbs is a dangerous place to travel because you can be caught very easily. I have my route planned through major food sources. Being able to hit multiple targets and eat without using too many traversals lets me move very efficiently. I begin heading over to this right side where I know there are sets of 3, 4, and 5 meats available. I make sure to stay in straight lines as often as possible. This allows me to be quick without having to rotate around, so my traversals are most efficient. You notice I'm looking for large stacks of animals. In this case, there's 5 one-meat creatures. The previous one was 3 one-meat creatures. Future, you'll be able to see a pair of 2-meat creatures. In the top left, you're able to see that the hunters have landed now, and so I'm waiting for them to use their scan. I'm going to keep eating along my basic route until they actually use it, and then I will use burst movement to get away as quickly as possible so that they have misinformation to my location. So I notice it is, I get past eating those lightning birds, and I move on. Normally, I would eat the creatures down below me, but because I need to move quickly, I get out of there and bypass them. Here I'm on the edge of the map, and this puts me at a bit of a risk, but I also have many line of sight breaks to keep me mostly safe. I'm clearing large groups of animals again with my abilities, trying to get as much meat as possible in the short time I have. Up ahead you'll see my first major mistake in this run, and that's something that I've been aware of, and I'm changing in my future playstyle. Here's another pair of double striders, and I've just been scanned. Normally what I would do is run as fast as possible. Instead, I actually eat these guys, which lets them get in position to cut me off. What I should have done instead, since I took so long, is started sneaking and doubling back. Here I get domed for the first time. After that fight ends, I continue along, moving my way. I note the large sound spike right on that cliff, and know that that area is dangerous to travel in. At the moment, I'm aware that there is 1 minute and 6 seconds left until the dome comes up, as well as I am very close until I evolve. Now that I have it, I decide it's worth taking the extra time to get that little perk, and now I'm going in a straight line for burst movement. I've used my traversals as much as possible, so I can get as much distance available. I also make sure that the hunters have to travel over some high ground so that they have to use a significant amount of jets, rather than what they would prefer to be able to walk. I go for this evolve because I know I have, 8 bars of armor? So even though they're going to catch me, they won't be able to dome me, and they won't be able to deal permanent damage because I had that minute, currently it's about 20 seconds, 30 seconds, of dome timer remaining. Yes, 20 seconds. So because I predicted that, I move on. Now normally I would go for that perk, because it is a very powerful buff, the wildlife buff, but they're right on me, and I have 12 seconds left. I spot the medic out alone, and so I consider going on him. Instead what I do is I retreat, and I set up for the next fight, because no matter what, I'm going to be caught. But I do have full armor once I finish these. So that's always a priority, making sure you have armor before the fight, because you're going to be caught eventually. Once this fight ends, I retreat again. I have lots of straightaways that I can go onto, and I'm dropping abilities behind me, the spiderlings, to annoy them. With different monsters, you have different abilities which allow you to retreat better. In my case, it's the distraction from the spiderlings or the slow from the web, although the web is a bit risky to throw out because it has such a long animation with such a high risk of actually landing. And again, I'm going in straight lines over terrain that makes it difficult for the hunters to travel. They have to use their jets in order to get to me no matter what. Again, I'm focusing on getting as much armor as possible by heading over to my major feeding grounds where there are multiple packs of meat. Here, what they would expect is me to head right, so instead I head left. I actually take this opportunity, forcing 2 of them to go the wrong direction in order to get access to free damage onto the medic and the support. Or the trapper, sorry. This medic goes down in this fight, and because I know my limits, I'm very aware of this. So instead of fighting in the dome, I go for damage onto the medic because he's out of position. He's wasted all his jets to climb that cliff, and then I have it. This makes them impossible for them to dome me, and I have to revive him in order to actually have it happen. I would have been safe even if I hadn't gotten him had I retreated on time. So So now they have dome ready, and I'm getting ready for the next fight. I need to get more armor, which I do right here. There's another 4-pack that I know about. But I also know they're going to try and find which direction I go. They're going to send 2 people to flush me, and they're going to send 2 people to catch me. So this way, I dodge 2 of them. I try to get set up here, but that's actually unlatchable. So what I do instead is I rotate around, because I know 2 are going to flush, and I see these 2, the medic and the support, who are the #1 kill priority in my head, are out of position, separate. So now I have maybe 3 seconds, maybe 5 seconds of untouched attack, and that's how I get it. I make sure to dodge half the group instead of dodging the entire group. Damn it. Not the other guy. Praise Jibbers. Second game, I'm playing Kraken. Slightly different, and I take the same initial path. The first steps I go are the identical, so I go to the 3-pack and then I go to the 5-pack, eating those so that I have 8 armor, or not 8 armor, sorry, 8 meat available. It's also 8 armor. But this time, I take a different route. Because I mess up some of my eating, in this case, I actually get stuck on some. I have to travel around a lot because it doesn't continue the munching part. So there, I was holding the button, but it wasn't going for it. Because of those delays, I know I have to move out quickly. So while I don't have the full armor that I would have, I'm actually cutting much sharper instead of the usual direction. Normally I would have gone outside this pillar. Instead I'm going on the inside so I can continue getting this 2-pack of meat, but it's a much shorter distance for me to travel so that I can stay ahead. I then begin a very sharp cut. Rather than going on the outside where there's a lot of meat, I go over to the landing pad immediately. I focus this large triple meat monster, because I know I have the ability and the time to kill it, but I've been scanned just now. So what I'm trying to do is get more food available, and then I'm going to try and sneak past them. Unfortunately, this is my first mistake on this point. Instead of doing it properly, and recognizing that scan was just used, and no matter what, I will be found very soon with the next scan, I go and I eat some more, and I don't get the distance I need, so I start sneaking. But scan is coming up in a matter of seconds, and this is what catches me for the first fight. Yeah, if I had been more aware of the scan timing, then I would have been able to escape this. Instead, I'm spotted by the scanner. I get stuck on walls, but that doesn't matter, I would have been caught anyways. After this fight ends, I get moving again. Using Kraken, my weapons I throw behind are Banshee Mines or the Vortex, because the knockback and the chasing of the Banshee Mines is very reliable. And again, I'm going for distance in mostly straight lines. Knowing the map is very important. This includes knowing the mini-map. I will include an image of how this map worked out at the very end of it, showing the path I took. And here I get enough time to evolve. I'm also, same strategy. I know I have time for the dome, I know I have time to eat, and once the dome is back up cooldown, I'm going to end up fighting, but at first I want to get all my armor and as many points up for the next stage as quickly as possible. So now again I'm doing the same kind of strategy. I go to the most obvious path and then I take the slightly different one. Because I just evolved, I know the hunters are right on my tail, and I use these large line of sight blockers to split them up. I see the medic has wasted his jets, and so I engage, ending the game. Here is the map that I took, roughly, until the first dome. Definitely wasn't perfect, but I did panic a little bit because these were some developers on the other team.